Romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. Author of Asian rom-coms Jackie Lau joins the show to discuss her new romance novel, Donut Fall in Love. Jackie also chats about Matcha Tiramisu donuts, shares the baking research that informed her work, and she plays the love languages of donuts. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Jackie. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hi, Liz. It's great to be here.
A happy book birthday to you. Your rom-com Donut Fall in Love has released into the world.
That's right. And I have the copy right here.
I read Donut Fall in Love and I loved it. I truly did. The humor and the heart is outstanding. The romance between your protagonists was totally endearing and compelling. The steamy scenes were delicious. And I love the nod to Nailed It. It's one of my favorite baking shows. So I ate this book up, pun intended.
Donut Fall in Love is about an Asian Canadian actor named Brian, who's sort of an up-and-coming actor, and he returns to Toronto after the death of his mother to spend time with his family and take some time off. And though he's not acting in any movies right now, he agrees to be in a celebrity baking show, sort of in honor of his mom. And he asks Lindsay, who owns a bakery, to help him learn how to bake, because even though it's a baking show that isn't, for people who are really star bakers, he has to know a little bit about baking. And he first met her when he walked into her bakery and knocked over 24 Matcha Tiramisu donuts.
I have to begin by asking the question that repeatedly popped up in my head as I was reading. Matcha Tiramisu donuts, that flavor combination, does it exist in the world, or is it a product of your own whimsy?
So I've never had a matcha tiramisu donut, but I've had matcha tiramisu from multiple different places, actually. So
really,
it's not really that much of a stretch from my imagination.
Really? Well, that's interesting. So you mentioned that Ryan, the male protagonist, is a movie star. He's a celebrity. Yes. He's been in television shows. He's been in movies. I so love that trope of the famous person falling for the non-famous person. First question is there a name to that particular trope?
I'm not sure. I just hear people say like Notting Hill, right?
Yes, maybe that should be the name of the trope then.
Yeah, so usually I just hear people compare it to that. So I'm not really sure if there's actually a name for the trope.
Given the differences between Ryan and Lindsay, what makes their love story work?
Though they have very different lives right now, they're both they both grew up in the Toronto area. They're both Asian, and they both lost a parent. And so he lost a parent quite recently, and she lost a parent when she was about 20. And so they sort of, like, their grief is sort of a little bit of what sort of brings, like, I guess, a depth early on in their relationship, because she knows what he's going through right now.
The relationship between Ryan and his father is incredibly well developed, with a realistic payoff in the end, which I will not share for obvious reasons. And I admit to straight up crying throughout. But there's also a lot of comedy. Ryan's father, Stanley, is a source of humor, and the tweets between he and Ryan are comedy gold. Was it as satisfying for you to write as it was for me to read?
Yeah, so I do really like writing family relationships, and I don't like writing. So it's been, I think, 4 to 6 months after his mom died. I don't like writing the immediate aftermath of a loss, but I find it sort of interesting to write about how a major loss can sort of change how you relate to other people, especially in your family. And so in Ryan's case, his mom, he was closest with his mom, and his mom was sort of the center of the family, the one who planned everything and all that. And his dad, he doesn't really have a relationship just with his dad. that was separate from his mom. And he's very much the person who he's more like his mom than his dad. And he's just sort of trying to make sure that they still remain a family.
Lindsay's mom, another source of comedy, but also a great way to talk about her struggles growing up in Canada as an Asian person living in a predominantly white neighborhood, and how that affected her perception of herself. Was that personally motivated to have that discussion around Lindsay's mom?
So my background's very similar to Lindsay's. I, like her, have a Chinese Canadian mother and a white father. And my mother was also born in Canada around 1960, which I guess Lindsay's a few years younger than me, but around the same generation. So that was before the immigration laws in the US and Canada were somewhat different, but similarly, they sort of had fairly racist aspects to them. I mean, more racist than now, prior to the late 60s. So it was actually rather difficult for Asian people to come here. And like the Chinese Exclusion Act we had only ended in 45. So there weren't, of that generation, there weren't a huge amount of Asian people born here. So people always found it, like Asian people, not just white people, found it very weird that my mom was born in Canada and that she didn't have an accent. And so she grew up at a time where she was mostly surrounded by white people. She didn't grow up in Toronto, but near Toronto. And so, yeah, it was sort of her mom's childhood was, I guess, a bit similar to Lindsay's mom in that way. Yeah, so that was sort of based on my own experiences. But unlike Lindsay, I've lost a parent, but it was my mom, not my dad.
Do you also share Lindsay's baking abilities?
No. So I haven't baked in this apartment, and I've lived here for 14 years, I think. I think I made like a crumble once or twice.
So you aren't a skilled baker, no. What kind of research did you do? Because there's a lot of technical step-by-step, instruction within the book. So tell me about that.
So other than just watching lots of baking shows, I did actually take a class at the bakery I usually go to get donuts, and they have donut making classes. I'm not sure they do during the pandemic, but they did right before the pandemic started. So I took a donut making class there. So that was sort of that. I mean, that was the main hands-on research I did, I guess. And then we got a big box of donuts to take home after.
You are from Canada, and
yes.
You currently live in Toronto.
Yes.
And I found in my research that per capita, Canada has more donut shops than any other country. So did that influence and or inform your decision to make donuts the star of the novel?
So I used to, before the pandemic, go to this bakery donut shop and write there because they have a quiet upstairs. So I used to go there about once a week or so. And so then I started posting pictures of the donuts I ate online on Instagram and stuff. And so that was sort of, so people sort of got to know that and got to know me for that. So then when they tweet donut stuff, related stuff at me and whatnot. So that's sort of how I got the idea. But yeah, it's not really specific to Canada or anything like
that. As
an
Asian actor, Ryan believes, and it's mentioned throughout the novel, that he isn't allowed to fail.
Yeah.
Because a box office bomb or a canceled TV show could negatively impact future opportunities for other Asian actors, which could then in turn diminish Asian representation in media. As an Asian romance writer, do you identify in any way with Ryan's concerns and the weight of responsibility that he places on his own shoulders?
A little bit. But at the same time, I guess, because I've been a self-published author for a while. So yes, there is sort of the pressure that publishers will sometimes they'll buy a book by a non-white author, and then it doesn't sell quite as well, as some other authors. And they'll be like, well, we just showed that this doesn't sell. But it could be because they had no idea how to market it. They didn't put the marketing money behind it. I mean, there's so many factors, right? Not that there isn't a sufficient audience for the book. So those are sort of like sort of similar concerns. I guess for me personally, I don't feel it to the same level just because I have been self-published for a while. So it's more like less pressure on this one book for me, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Which donut, if given to another person, would say, I like you more than just friends?
I'd say red velvet, because it's sort of like red roses that says something that's like more romantic than just friendship, I guess.
So a red velvet donut. So would it be an actual, have you ever had one?
Yeah, so I got donuts today. This one's my husband, so that's why I haven't eaten it yet. But this is what their red velvet donut looks like. Let me try it.
Oh, I see. Perfect.
So this one has like red velvet crumbs on it, and then cream cheese frosting. So that's to me why I think of it as being red, because that particular one is red.
I love it. And I love that you have a box of donuts at the ready.
Yeah, that was, just coincidence.
Yeah, sure, Jackie. Just Which donut, if given to another, says, I am hot for your bod?
Maybe creme brulee. Like, because if you have like the scorched sugar on top, that's sort of like a hot scorching.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I like your thinking on that. Which donut says, kiss me?
I would say something chocolatey, something that's going to make your mouth taste good.
So chocolate to you says, kiss me. Okay.
Yeah.
I can buy into that. Which donut says, I've missed you?
Okay, that's kind of hard.
Maybe a jelly?
Yeah, I was actually leaning towards some kind of jelly donut.
Jelly donut with powdered sugar, or like granulated sugar would be the
it's powdered sugar. Yeah, I would say powdered sugar. Yeah.
Powdered. Okay, I've missed you, because then the powder gets on your mouth and you're like, oh, let me take it off of you and wipe it off with my tongue. Well, Jackie, it has been such a delight to chat with you here on Reader Seeks Romance. Thank you so much for taking time to join me.
Thanks for having me.